Good morning. Good morning, everyone. We appreciate you all being here this morning. We are here, unfortunately, because we are representing a family who has lost a loved one in the Fulton County Jail, Mr. Dino Walker. And so we start by just wanting the world to know that Dino Walker was a son and a father and a friend. And we want to humanize Mr. Walker because so often what we know happens is that our brothers and sisters who are incarcerated, even before they've been convicted, they are reduced, they are dehumanized, they are criminalized. But on today, Dino Walker is remembered as a son, a father, and a friend. And we have here with us his mother, Ms. Chandra Tolan, his friend and partner, Quintisha Parks, and his son, DeClaire Walker. And we have members of our community who have been organizing to address the incredible amount of death that has been experienced in the Fulton County Jail. And so we want some of those who have been organizing to try to bring this to an end so that not another family has to experience this, not another family has to endure this, that we don't have to have these kinds of cases come into our firm. And with that, I'd like first to bring forward from the Color of Change, the senior director, Mr. Michael Collins, so that he can give, again, we want to put this in the context of a larger issue. As a law firm, our work is about social justice, so while as we represent this single family, we also want to make sure that we're a part of an ecosystem of social justice workers, activists, organizers, and attorneys seeking to bring an end to violence, to death within the criminal justice system. So with that, Michael, would you come up and share you all's work, please?
Hi everybody, Michael Collins. I'm the Senior Director at Colour of Change, one of the largest organisations fighting for racial justice. I want to offer my condolences to all the family members who are here today, especially Mr. Walker's family for what they've been through this past year. I want to remind people that we're talking about individuals who are held pre-trial. What that means is, in our system of law, they are innocent until proven guilty. But unfortunately, what we're seeing at the Fulton County Jail is too many people are being given a death sentence. And we're talking, let's be clear, mostly about black individuals, right? If this were white people, perhaps we would be having a different conversation. This would be front page news, there would be more pressure. But it's black people, it's people who are incarcerated, it's people who we often forget about. And there's a lot of blame to go around for what's going on at the Fulton County Jail. Many systemic issues with the facility itself that have gone on for years. The sheriff is absolutely partly to blame, Sheriff Labatt, who yesterday in a disgraceful scene paraded incarcerated individuals before the Fulton County Board of Commissioners. But we also want to say that there is a role here for the prosecutors, Fannie Willis and Keith Gamage. Fannie Willis, who handles felonies, Keith Gamage, who handles misdemeanor cases. And with Mr. Gamage, what we've observed, and we sent him a letter on this a couple of weeks ago, his office is consistently requesting that people be held on cash bail for even the most trivial offences. We watched somebody who was accused of stealing an iPhone, and his office asked for cash bail. Now, again, I want to remind people that you're sending individuals who are innocent until proven guilty to a facility where it could be a death sentence. With Fannie Willis, obviously she's out there grabbing the headlines because of, the Trump case. She's currently, the sort of hero of liberal America. But meanwhile, back at home, we have to live with the consequences of her inaction as she's taken her eye off the ball on numerous cases. She has between, on her own count, 11 and 12,000 unindicted cases. Those are people, some of whom are sitting in the jail, who are unable to start the process of their case, right? What that means when you're unindicted, you haven't been charged with anything. You can't really get the ball rolling, the clock ticking on your trial. You know, there are around about 33% of the people who are currently held in Fulton County are unindicted, out of a total of 1,209 people. And I want to remind you that under Georgia law, cases are to be indicted within 90 days. But almost half of the people, 43% of the people that are unindicted, have been sitting there for more than 90 days. We have 3 people currently, as I speak, in Fulton County Jail who are unindicted, who have been sitting there for over 721 days. That is a disgrace. Mr. Walker himself was there, I believe, for around about 2 years, waiting on his trial, again, innocent until proven guilty. Now, nothing that we are asking the prosecutors to do is requiring a change of law. We're not asking for additional funding. We're simply asking them to do your job. You know, Ms. Willis has plenty of time for the media when it comes to profiles around the Donald Trump case and the YSL case. We want her office to dedicate time to get individuals out of the system and slow the number of people going in there. Because if we don't, we're going to have more of these unfortunate situations like the one with Mr. Walker. We're going to have more of these press conferences and more people dying, and we don't want to see that. So I thank you for your time. I thank my colleagues at this law firm for inviting me to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Law Clerk Daryl Ford, come on up. Daryl has been working on the case with us. Bring those with you, please. I'd like for Reverend Kiana Jones from Community Movement Builders to come up and share their push and their work.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Reverend Kiana Jones, and I represent Community Movement Builders. We are a community organization here in the city of Atlanta, and we stand with Color of Change. We stand with this family. We stand with Davis Bozeman Law Firm, and so often we have to stand with our fellow organizers, activists, and families in the community who have lost loved ones. The statistics that were read previously are more than atrocious. They are completely disgraceful. When we talk about the case of Dino Walker, this case, unfortunately, is not like some others. And this has become pandemic in the Fulton County Jail. You heard what was said regarding people who are unindicted and the fact that they truly should not simply be sitting in jail. We've seen so many horrific cases come out of Fulton County Jail where people have received that death sentence. We've seen people be eaten alive by bed bugs. We've seen the conditions in which they live currently in Fulton County Jail, and we see Sheriff Patrick Labatt continually ask for money from the Fulton County Board of Commissioners. We see him granted those funds. We have seen District Attorney Fonnie Willis complain about a backlog and a lack of funding in order to cure that backlog, but we saw her get everything that she asked for, and we still have loved ones sitting in Fulton County Jail without an indictment. District Attorney Willis certainly does continue to chase headlines, but then we look to Mr. Keith Gamage, the Solicitor General, who talks a lot about restorative justice and transformative justice, yet he constantly asks for cash bail for people to be held in these conditions in the Fulton County Jail. It is well documented what is going on at Fulton County. We currently have a Department of Justice investigation into this jail. That in and of itself should be enough for the Fulton County Board of Commissioners to stand up and make some recommendations regarding the jail. Instead, they are continuing to throw more money into the hands of the sheriff, into the district attorney, and what we see is massive overcrowding. What we see is now a situation at the Atlanta City Detention Center where people in the custody of Fulton County Jail within that detention center are now being found dead as well. This is not okay. We cannot continue to let this happen on our watch. And what we are here to say today is that in addition to standing with the family of Dino Walker and every family that has a loved one in Fulton County Jail, whether they are no longer with us or not, we are standing on the side of justice to see that people are treated with humanity, that we stop throwing money into a system that continuously has people on a paradigm of injustice that leads to death, and that we no longer accept what we have been getting from officials who have been elected to do a job that they are not doing well for this community. So we stand here with this family. We are calling for justice for Dino Walker. We are calling on District Attorney Fani Willis to stand up, do the right thing. But we are also calling on the Fulton County Board of Commissioners to stop giving money to the district attorney to disenfranchise our community. Stop giving money to Sheriff Labatt for a jail that is now a death trap. It seems that everyone who gets sentenced to that jail is now being sentenced to death. And that is indicative of a system that is not working for the best interest of the people that this system is called to serve.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to bring forward longtime organizer, and he has been working with some of the families of people who have lost or their lives have been taken in the Fulton County Jail. Marcus Coleman, he is with the Organization of World Leaders and the newly appointed ambassador for the United Nations.
Here we go again. Before I get started, I had the opportunity to meet Dino Walker's mother and had a heart-to-heart with her. And Ms. Walker, you told me to speak it true. Right. We also have the family of Mr. Hallman here. And before I get started, I'll just simply say, release the tape, APD. We'll speak more about that Saturday. Release the tape. Teachers from Atlanta, a group of artists that go under the name of YSL, and most recently, those who are in opposition against the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center, better known as Cop City, because it's founded by the Atlanta Police Foundation and funded. What all these have in common? They all have RICO cases. Georgia's giving out, Fulton County is giving out RICOs left and right. Well, I would encourage the district attorney to keep that same energy and aim RICO at the sheriff's department. Amen. I mean, racketeer influenced organization, a corrupt organization. Does that not fit the Fulton County Sheriff's Department? The head is Labatt.
That's right.
The attorney spoke about it just a minute ago. It was repulsive and sickening seeing folks who would do anything they can, Attorney Davis, to try to get out of those walls, to march them into the Board of Commissioners meeting under armed guard and talk about how bad the conditions are at the jail when the very people that marched them in are responsible for the conditions. I mean, what kind of games are we playing with this man? Famous actor turned sheriff. Why is the person and the people responsible? Why are they not being held accountable? This is why I love working with the Davis Bozeman law firm. And Mauli's a partner of mine, a friend. A law firm that specializes in civil action. You have criminal and civil. But I love this firm because they do everything that they can to try to righteously and rightfully influence the criminal. They're going to take care of the civil. How can you guys continue to cover family after family after family, but we keep letting the person responsible come before the Board of Commissioners and ask for more money? We was asking for $30 million this time to move families 4 hours away. I hate to say what I'm about to say. Many of us fought for the closure of ACDC, the Atlanta City Detention Center, and were very disappointed with the reversal of Mayor Bottoms by her successor Dickens, but orchestrated by Fulton County Sheriff Patrick Labatt. We were pissed off about that. Well, now I hate to say it, because a young lady, 19 years old, found dead in that facility. Well, only one floor has been open, right? Well, why in the hell aren't we entertaining putting them in the ACDC instead of sending them hours away? Why? Because we probably don't want to expose how bad of a condition ACDC is in. Something just don't make sense here. Attorneys are complaining that they won't have time to talk to their loved ones or have consultations with their loved ones in preparation for court. Why are we talking about all this? Because all of this is systemic. Dino Walker sat in that jail for 2 years, correct, ma'am, prior to being murdered. 2 years. Tens and tens of people are being murdered. This is Fulton County Jail. These numbers are reminiscent to maximum state penitentiary, maximum state prisons, or high security level penitentiaries. But what makes this worse, as I get ready to close, is that all of this is under black leadership. When we go to these sticks and these parts of Georgia and other parts of the country that are preserved, unfortunately, we expect our people to get done like that in these preserved areas. We don't expect that in the black Mecca, in the city too busy to hate, where you're building Cop City on one end and then asking to build a bigger, better, stronger jail to hold you longer that costs billions on the other. You can ship people where you want to. You can build new institutions. If you don't change the personnel and hold them accountable, it will continue to happen. So in closing, please don't forget, Mr. Walker was here.
Thank you, Brother Coleman. We have joining us today another mother whose son was in the Fulton County Jail. And when she heard about Dino Walker, she took it upon herself to come here, to just show up. And we want to give her an opportunity to share about her son and what she's gone through before we go into our case against the jail, the sheriff, along with the county commissioner by Attorney Harold Spence. Miss Angela Roper, can you come up? You want to share? The mother of Christopher Roper. And we're going to say his name.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, yes, my name's Angela Roper. My son Christopher Roper was arrested in August of 2021. He was dead in March of 2023 from a fentanyl overdose in Fulton County Jail. Was not aware, talked to him the day before. He was dead within minutes. Chaplain came to my door with a police officer, said, "I'm sorry, ma'am, your son is dead." And I said, "My son is dead? What do you mean my son is dead? He was just alive 24 hours ago." This is the kind of thing that, how does my son die from a fentanyl overdose within your custody? My son, I would have thought was safer in your custody than he was on the streets. But you let my son die in your custody. And I text the sheriff that you killed my son. You let my son die in your hands. And I just came here to support Miss Walker, let her know that her pain, I feel it, I know it, and I wanted her to know that she's not alone with all this suffering. Everyone that's here, everyone that's lost a loved one in this jail is not alone. And I want everyone that has lost a loved one to come forward and be known. I did not come here to seek counseling today. I just want my son's name to be known and his pain to be known. and everybody's suffering that's gone through this to be known. And I love you, and I hope you get justice for your child. And I just want everybody that's suffering like this to get justice for their child or their loved one that has been lost in this terrible, terrible place. Amen. And
Amen.
God bless.
Amen.
Okay? Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are grateful for that kind of courage, mother to mother. I want to bring forward my law partner, who has been working diligently with our legal team, some of whom are behind you, and along with our law clerk as he finishes his last semester of law school, so that he can enter this fray as a liberation lawyer and join us in this work. Daryl Ford. I want to bring forward Harold Spence so he can lay out the legal claims that we will FedEx today to the Fulton commissioners and the Fulton sheriff about the death of Dino Walker. And as he points out certain issues, we'll also share some of the report that we were able to obtain, again, through the diligent work of the legal team that laid out Dino Walker's last moments and how those around him responded as he lay dying and bleeding on a floor on 7 North at 911 Rice Street, Fulton County Jail. Attorney Harold Spence.
Good morning, everyone. On September 22nd, 2022, Dino Walker was an inmate in the Fulton County Jail. He was what the law calls a pretrial detainee. He had not yet been convicted of any crime, and he was waiting to go to trial. In the early evening hours of September 22nd, he was on a location in the jail known as 7 North. There was a detention officer who had responsibility for watching the inmates in the 7 North location. Now, 7 North is well known to those who know the Fulton County Jail because that part of the jail contains some of the most violent inmates at the jail. For whatever reason, this detention officer, who was the sole person watching the inmates that evening, and the inmates were all out of their cells. They were operating in common areas. This detention officer decided to leave his post without having anyone to replace him. So you have roaming free some of the most violent inmates at the Fulton County Jail. This detention officer was gone for an hour. During that time, 2 of the inmates approached Dino Walker. One of them kicked off his shoes and stood in front of him as if he was preparing to initiate some physical skirmish with him. While Mr. Walker's attention was focused on this individual, another individual came from behind and stabbed him. It was clearly a misdirection effort by these 2 individuals to misdirect Mr. Walker's attention while another attacked him. Mr. Walker fell to the floor and blood pooled around his body. He ended up dying on the cold floor of the Fulton County Jail. While he was on the floor with blood pooling around him, violence had become so normalized at the Fulton County Jail that other inmates simply walked around him, stepping over him, looking at him as some sort of oddity, but without providing any assistance whatsoever.